If you ask me what my all-time favourite movie scene is, well, the year is 1947. It's a story about greed, sex and murder, and also 2 cartoon ducks playing the piano. This is Who Framed Roger Rabbit, a comedic fantasy detective story blending live action and animation released in 1988, making this year its 30th anniversary. I just realised my last video was about a murder mystery. I promise this isn't a thing. Or is it? It's not. No. This scene is known as the Dueling Pianos. It's also known as the Ink and Paint Club scene, but that kind of includes a lot, so I'm specifically talking about the ducks. I loved this film so much as a kid, and so much so that I would dance around to the scene with Eddie versus the Weasels, and it's lucky that no video footage of that exists, because that would be really embarrassing.
His name. Laughter is his game. Come on, you dope, untie his rope and watch him go insane. Without that gun and have some fun, I'd kick you in the...
Wait, why am I wearing a shirt that says past on it? It'll become apparent later. Well, that sounds ominous. You'll see. That sounds even more ominous! Who Censored Roger Rabbit is a 1981 novel by Gary K. Wolfe. Here he is. It's a murder mystery, but with comic strip characters, featuring crossovers like Snoopy and Dick Tracy. Disney snapped up the film rights that same year, but immediately ran into problems. How do you integrate cartoon characters with real life? Oh hey, here's your coffee. Thanks real life me. What? This is how I always drink my coffee. Audiences needed to get that in this world, human beings and cartoon characters live side by side. In fact, the most integral moment in accomplishing this is the moment of the fridge door opening, transitioning from the cartoon world to the real world. Roger Rabbit wasn't the first to have this concept. It's been seen in Mary Poppins, The Three Caballeros,
The one with the slaves.
Hybrid movies are common now, but back then it took way more convincing. Even Gene Kelly, despite having famously made Anchors Away, where he danced with Jerry Mouse, not Stewie Griffin, still had to pull some strings for invitation to the dance.
The studio was skeptical. I got my good friend Walt Disney to tell the studio it could be done, and with Walt's help, we did it.
There was a lot of doubt surrounding whether this film would work. While a screen test of Roger Rabbit was very impressive, early screenings of the film tested badly.
We went to these sneak screenings of Pasadena with Roger. Of course, it wasn't finished yet.
The audience ran out of the theater. It was like a disaster.
I mean, it's not that surprising. Imagine trying to sell Jurassic Park before they added the dinosaurs.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
So it took a lot of faith and convincing to get this film made. And you know who helped? Steven motherfucking Spielberg. How? By being Steven motherfucking Spielberg.
I need to say Steven would like this. Things got done really fast.
But to feel real, the Toons had to really interact with real life, real objects, really real.
When you see doors opening and cushions depressing and they have guns and all kinds of things, the interactivity of the cartoons and the real world was like the whole key to making the movie work.
This was done with puppeteers and animatronics, which would then be covered up with cartoon characters. And this made the Ink and Paint Club all the more complex. It's full of Toons doing things, holding trays, pouring drinks, serving customers, selling Diet Coke.
Diet Coke!
The entire set had to be built 10 feet off the ground to allow for puppeteers to move the trays for the penguin waiters. There's also the multi-limbed octopus barman that required puppeteers above the set, and of course, 2 ducks having a fight. So the pianos had to be rigged with open hatches, play keys, and even collapse on demand like your mum's insurance fraud. Yeah, Karen, I'm on to you. What was essentially an Invisible Man movie required a ton of coordination and money.
The problem is not going to be how to do it. The problem is going to be time and money.
With continual delays, the over-budget movie got even more over-budget and needed more funds to get it over the finish line. It was always on the verge of being shut down, so they did what any artist would: sell out.
Diet Coke! Diet Coke! Diet Coke!
The Dueling Pianos has Disney's Donald Duck and Warner Brothers' Daffy Duck meeting for the first and only time. The nearest we ever got to this happening again was Cartoon All-Stars to the Rescue, but
this is my future?
It is if you don't get off those drugs.
no. For such a deal to work, Warner Brothers stipulated that Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck had to have equal screen time to Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck, so they were paired up like this.
Me. What's up, Doc?
In fact, you can see, excluding the finale, Donald and Daffy each have about 38 seconds of screen time during this scene, either shared or solo. Donald and Daffy are the perfect pairing. Both are incredibly irascible, and both are constantly trying to one-up their rivals. We've carefully chosen dialogue to make this the definitive versions of the characters.
But you are despicable.
Donald is voiced by Tony Anselmo, who remains his current voice actor to this day, in one of his very first movie roles, alongside Mel Blanc, the original voice actor for Daffy Duck in one of his very last movie roles. Honestly, seeing these two record side by side is mind-blowing.
This is the last time I work with someone with a speech impediment.
I've heard multiple sites say that archive recordings of Donald's original voice actor Clarence Nash was also used as part of the scene, but no? Tony Anselmo's Donald is cleaner, more crisp, more enunciated.
Oh, here we go! Did it all just like he's the richest duck in the world!
Whereas Clarence Nash's Donald has a tendency to sound softer, more garbled, making it harder to understand. And I think a lower pitch as well? Unless Nash's contributions were Donald's non-specific squawking, without any official confirmation, I think this is all Tony Anselmo, as credited in the movie. And I'm surprised I even have to say this, but Donald doesn't say the N-word. He says, doggone, stubborn, little. In some versions of this, the subtitle was changed to nitwit, but he's obviously not saying that, which may have been a conscious effort to push it away from what people are saying they can hear. But with that kazoo voice, it makes little sound like liggle, and combined with the N of stubborn, it gave Snopes.com a lifetime of ad revenue. It is said that Chuck Jones, legendary director of many Looney Tunes shorts, collaborated with Richard Williams, the animation director, and voice of Droopy.
Have a good day, sir.
To storyboard the dueling piano scene. Even producer Don Hahn stating that Chuck Jones handled Daffy's part, whilst Richard Williams handled Donald's. And whilst that might have been the intention, that's not how it played out. Chuck Jones said in an interview that while he was involved to begin with and was enthusiastic about this historic scene, he said the final result was horrible. Whatever Chuck Jones had boarded for this scene was clearly altered so severely from his original vision that the final result was totally different and he hated it. He also hated the film, the character designs, and was generally a bit of a miserable sod about the whole bloody thing. Oh, and those reflections and whip pans, all handcrafted. No computers were involved, as every frame had to be drawn on by hand onto blown up photos, which were then penciled, painted, and composited. But the extra mile was given for the highlights and shadows to give the characters a rounded look that really made them feel part of the world. Even the choice of song, Hungarian Rhapsody No. 2, harkens back to classic cartoons, with Mickey Mouse in 1929, Bugs Bunny in 1946, the Academy Award-winning Tom and Jerry short, Cat Concerto in 1947, and even Daffy Duck again in 2012.
Bang, bang, bang! I'm only 16 yards ahead. Bang, bang, bang! They're shooting straight at me!
This scene has no part to play in the actual plot of the movie. Sure, during this scene we meet Marvin Acme, whose death triggers the events of the whole film, but you can still cut the ducks out. Say Eddie just sits down, talks to Marvin with no one on stage until Jessica performs, and the narrative would be just fine. Save a bit of money even. But it acts as a very important moment as it sets up some world building. Let me explain. Eddie Valiant, played by Bob Hoskins, despises Toons as one murdered his brother. But desperate for work, he ends up looking for Jessica Rabbit at the Ink and Paint Club. Humans only, with the Toons acting only as staff and entertainment. I see what you did there. He enters the club and is faced with the chaos that is the Ducks. It firmly re-establishes his disdain for Toons and lowers the expectations of Jessica. Remember, at this point, he has never met her and still thinks that she's just another insufferable, crazy cartoon rabbit.
Got a thing for rabbits,
And then this happens.
You had plenty money, 1922.
His jaw drops. Our jaw drops. Our collective expectations have been subverted, and this moment is elevated thanks to a duck fight seconds prior. The Dueling Pianos is just a couple of minutes long, but the level of effort that went into it is crazy. But that's this film in a nutshell. Even the phrase bump the lamp was invented to mean going the extra mile even if no one notices it. And that's the thing. I could go on and on about this scene, but none of it matters.
Hey! You mean I did all that research for nothing?
Sorry, past me. Call back. None of this outside knowledge about the process is actually needed to enjoy this scene for what it is. Donald and Daffy having a piano fight. The film is put together so meticulously, you don't notice these things because you're not meant to. You're able to just lose yourself in a world of tunes and not even question it, which might be the film's biggest accomplishment. Well, that and 3 Oscars, but you know. The Dueling Pianos is stupid and unnecessary, but it's fun, and the love that went into making this happen makes this still awe-inspiring to see 30 years later.
There's things being done, when you start off you think, you've got to be kidding, there's no way we're going to do that. And we do. And we do it better than we thought we were going to do.
It's never happened before, and while sequels were attempted, it looks like it may never happen again, which for me makes it all the more special.
I'll show you special! Come on, you! Yes!
Stop hitting yourself! Stop hitting yourself! Woo, okay, this was a surprisingly meaty video to put together, but thank you so much for watching, and please consider backing me on Patreon. It'd be nice. I like food.